Thank you. So that was a beautiful, kind introduction. I also want to say a huge yasher koyach to Shlomi Neparstak and the organizers of today, Marcus 302, for not only for this Fabring and for all they're doing, because this is really going to bring Moshiach, and I want to thank them for the big schus to be part of this. There was a gentleman who came from England, like I do. He came to America, and he had his life's dream. Now was to be able to be part of Broadway. He wanted a part in the play. He comes to New York, and he goes to sign up, and they hear his beautiful English accent, and they say, "We have the perfect part for you." And they take out the script, and they give him his line. When it comes to this part in the play, you're going to say the words, "Woe to hear the cannons roar." Well, his dream was made. It was 12 months away, but he was going all out, whatever is on his mind the entire time. And whatever he had a moment and there was no one around, he suddenly would go, "Woe to hear the cannons roar." And as time got by and he became so immersed in what he was doing, sometimes he even did it in front of his family. And then as time got closer, he didn't care anymore about anybody or anyone. He was just, you saw him walking down the street and suddenly, "Woe to hear the cannons roar." And this was just his life. Till the moment finally arrives and it's his turn. It's that day, he's saying it the whole time, "Woe to hear the cannons roar, woe to the cannons roar." And then there's the moment. They give him the countdown, 10 seconds, you're going onto stage. He walks out onto stage in his full glory when all of a sudden, bang! This huge bang and commotion and smoke. He turns around and he says, "What in the world was that?" This story I heard from Rabbi Vogel over 35 years ago. The Rebbe is telling us, we want Moshiach now, we want Moshiach now, Megeta Rum Meshreit, we want Moshiach now. He says Moshiach is going to come and we're going to turn around and say, "What in the world was that?" You got to know what it's all about. And then Moshiach comes, you'll be able to see exactly what it is, and we'll be able to say, "Whoa," to see Moshiach coming. I know this is going to be radical, but I got permission to do this. And I know this might be very shocking to many people, but I feel that the general masses have misunderstood what the Rebbe said on Chav Ches Nissen, and I want to use this opportunity to try and clarify that. What if we got it wrong? What if we simply misunderstood what the Rebbe was saying? Why, when you ask someone, "What did the Rebbe say on Chav Ches Nissen?" do they say, "The Rebbe said, I did everything I can to bring Mashiach, and it was all lahabel v'larik." Basically, the Rebbe couldn't do it, and now he gave it over to us. Is that what the Rebbe meant? No. That's not what the Rebbe was saying. Let's read together from the Morgedike Sicha what the Rebbe translated, what he was saying so clearly. Ma'ed yichilani lasis kedei shekol b'nei Yisrael yarishu v'yitzaku be'emes v'yifalu l'havias HaMashiach b'peil. What more could I do to get B'nai Yisrael to scream out and cry out to the Eibishter with an emes, the Moshiach should come. The Rebbe is saying, I did all that I can to get you to want Mashiach. And I wasn't Mashiach. I wasn't able to get you to want Mashiach. And the proof? Very simple. Mashiach didn't come. Because if there was people who really cared and really wanted Moshiach, then they would be stubborn and actions of Chaim by the Eibishter Moshiach would talk to come. So the fact that he was still in Golus is a raya that I wasn't able to be paid on you, that you should want Moshiach. Now that's very, very different than saying that the Rebbe did everything he can to bring Moshiach. It's a different story. Now it makes sense that people make this mistake because you listen to the video like we have over and over again, you hear the Rebbe saying the words that people are interpreting. But what the Rebbe was really calling us in Chavches Nissen is to say that we need to want Mashiach. And no matter how much he tried, that didn't work. The Rebbe told us that you're screaming at Masai because I told you to, not because you really want it. So this is the challenge. This is the challenge of Chavches Nissen. How can we want Mashiach for real? And if we really want it, then the rest is history. If you really, really want something, and you really want it, we're going to do all we can to make it happen. And I want to also take this moment not only to clarify what the Rebbe was saying, but also the context in which the Rebbe was saying this. Some people say the Sikha came at a total shock. It was a random Thursday night, Chavches Nissen, or typical regular day. What happened? And I totally think that's not true. If you take a moment to look at the backdrop of this Sikha and see where the Rebbe is coming from, it's a whole different ballgame. You see, throughout the Rebbe's entire Nesias, let's go back earlier. Since the Rebbe is a small child, before I went to Cheder, what was the Rebbe thinking about Moshiach? The Rebbe's entire life is Moshiach. And the Rebbe, becoming the leader of our generation, is telling us, this is the mission of our generation. We are going to bring the Geula. And goes through decades to make this happen. Finally, comes the moment, the time has finally arrived. And the Rebbe tells us, look what's going on in the world. You see the Gulf War, you see the end of the Cold War, you see the collapse of communism, and the Rebbe points to Kibbutz Goliath. The Rebbe is pointing to everything that's happening in the world. All the nevuahs that the Nevi'im told us throughout history are happening in front of our eyes. And then we get to the moment, Chedesh Nissen. Chedesh Nissen, Nissen Nigel Wabi Seinov, and Nissen Asidim Leigoyel. This is the month. This is when it's going to happen. You can imagine. We were all there, right? All of us that were there, we were sitting on shpilkes, we were sitting in the edge of our chair. We were waiting for it to happen. We couldn't wait every day. We were expecting it to happen. If Pesach came and it still hadn't happened, if Nisan came and it still hadn't happened, but Pesach, that was the day the Abisha took us out of Mitzrayim the first time. We wanted to make it at the same time. All right, we'll wait till Pesach. First days it doesn't come, for sure. Achin Shel Pesach, that's connected with the Gula Achreina. That's why we don't say Shechiyanu, because it hasn't happened yet. But now it's going to happen, Mashiach, so that we're sure. No. But we're not giving up. It's not that the baby's overdue and therefore, it's not going to happen. It must be happening any day now. We're still in Chedesh Nissen, and another day and another day. And now we're right at the end of Chedesh Nissen. It's Chav Zayin Nissen. You would imagine that every one of us would be sitting there frustrated. No, Eibishter, Masai, come on! Can't let this go. And then the Rebbe comes back from Nahiyel. That's not what he sees. That's not what he sees. He sees a bunch of Yidden who have gathered together, and it's okay. It's okay if Moshiach didn't come today. And we'll go to sleep at night. If it doesn't come tomorrow, it's also okay. Really? Really? And obviously, obviously, when all of this is happening, the Rebbe turns to us and he says to us, how is it possible that you get together and you're not demanding that Moshiach is here? This is not a shock. This is not a surprise. This wasn't random. This is what the Rebbe is expecting of us. The Rebbe is telling us, Chassidim, there's a huge disconnect. I'm talking, and you're listening. You're even writing it down. You know the exact words I said, but you don't get it. It doesn't bother you. So yes, Chav Chesnis and the Rebbe did charge us to do all we can. But the main challenge to us is to care. Caring to a point that we'll do all we can. Caring to a point that we'll be stubborn enough to be pale on the Eibishter to finally bring the Geula. And the Rebbe was challenging us to be truly like him. You see, the Rebbe is the true Yid. Every Yid is supposed to be this way. Every Yid, and like the Rambam says, you're not waiting every moment. This is what every Yid has to live this way. And I gave you the perfect example. This is how I lived my entire life. And I'm expecting that of you. And because I couldn't get you, because you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, the only thing I can do now is make it yours. Make it yours. And then, hopefully, you'll make it yours and you'll care. Maybe there'll be 1, 2, or 3 people who can come up with a way of how we can actually want Moshiach. Now that we've clarified the Sikha and the setting, I want to take a moment, because over the Farbrengens of Chav Chesnissen, we spoke about this, and I was challenged with some very real questions, which some of you may be thinking right now. How can I want and truly care about something that I don't even know what it is? Abraham Fries's line, 2,000 years is 1,000,000 years too long to search for a light that I've never known. If people did not get the Rebbe when he was talking to them, how will we, who have not seen the Rebbe, get him? Another question. I cannot believe that there wasn't 10 people back then who really cared. And if there wasn't 10 people then, and there isn't 10 people 31 years later, Haraya was still in Golus, what's going to change now? And if there is going to be 10, I'm definitely not one of them. Wow. There are times when I did feel like Moshiach was coming, for sure. Actually, when Corona kicked in, our family even chipped in to buy a Korban Pesach. But then Pesach came and it went and nothing. How can you always live on the edge? Great questions. Does the Rebbe really want us to be frustrated? Cautious that we're in Golus? Doesn't the Rebbe put a huge emphasis on Simcha? If Moshiach is what we really need, then why doesn't Hashem just give it to us? Maybe, the next question, maybe at that time there was a ketz, an auspicious time for Moshiach to come, but we missed it. Who said that Moshiach is really coming now? Then the bomb, which is practically, what can we do now? And I felt like these questions, this Chazer Sikha, but if we're all thinking, or some of these questions at least, probably be a good idea to address them. So the first thing, the most important thing to establish is that we do care. We really want Moshiach, and we want Moshiach with an emes, as the Rebbe says in the Maimah V'Ata Tetzaveh. Retzeinei Amiti shall call Echad Be'achas Misrael Sheyigili Elokos V'ad Sheyigili Atzmos. Yes, we innately want Moshiach. This is who we are. This is what we want. We do know what we're looking for. The neshama shalamayla is reya likus, and the neshama shalamayla sees a likus and only wants a likus. But furthermore, the Rebbe is connecting our etzem and neshama with the Eibishter the way it's mushrish in atzmos, and therefore we really don't want anything else. Nishtain ganeden, nishtain elamaba, nardich alein. We only want atzmos. The challenge is that we have to make sure that our keches panimim, our brain, our heart, are in sync with our etzem and neshama. But it's not creating a new ratzin. It's not creating a new will. It's tapping into what the Rebbe is doing for us, the Ve'ata Tetzaveh, and allowing ourselves to feel what we really, really want. Maybe let's put it this way. The challenge is not so much, how do I care? It's more, how do I stop creating a wall around my heart and not allowing myself to feel what the Rebbe is doing to my neshama? It's like taking Tylenol, because you don't want to feel the pain. Rahman al-Islam, there are times where they induce somebody into a coma so they shouldn't feel the pain. And Golos has somewhat induced us into a coma, not allowing us to feel what our neshama really wants. Who's done this to us? Who's created this horrible coma? And the answer to that is our enemy, the Yetzer Hara. How? He plays with our mind. He lies to us. He tries and he does rob us from what's most dear to us. He tells us, you don't want to live your life as if the Beis HaMikdash is burning. Then he knows you're going to do if it's Karen Avel. So he tells you don't want to live your life like that. You don't want to live your life on the edge. He tells you don't daven and really, really mean it when you ask for Moshiach. You don't want to feel rejected. Who wants to feel rejected 3 times a day? He tells us, don't think that you can do it. No one before you did it. Even the Rebbe, he makes this up. Even the Rebbe said he couldn't do it. So you definitely can't do it. So don't even bother to try. He tells you you don't want Moshiach. You want other things. And you know, the Rebbe himself said, you're not screaming with them. So you see, you don't want it. He tells us that we actually are comfortable in Galos. It's actually quite good. Baruch Hashem, we have our chaver begashmias. We have our chaver beruchnias. Galos is not so bad anymore. It's not what it used to be. He's literally, mamish, creating a false reality in our head. He tells us the Beis HaMikdash is not burning. This is not what you want. You can't want something if you don't know what it is. Hasn't happened for so long now. Why do you think it's going to happen in your life? Even if it's going to happen. Stand on the side. Wait for it to happen. And then when the big bang happens and Moshiach is here, jump up with your Lubavitcher flag and say, yeah, I knew it the whole time. This is what the Rebbe said to us in the Sikha. That we're in a Galus Ruchnim and Agiat Avedas Hashem. The Yetzer Hara's passion got us captured. So what's the solution? The solution is we got to go to war. We got to go to war. The goal is to have a complete paradigm shift. You know, this famous story of the guy who's on the train and there's a kid who's running around, throwing water at people, banging on the train doors, undoing people's shoes, and everyone's looking around, who's this kid? And more importantly, who's the kid's father? And one guy gets frustrated, he stands up and says, does anyone know who this kid is? The guy looks up, sitting right next to him, looks up and he sees the child and said, it's mine. The man screams at him and says, have you ever thought about how you're going to bring up your child? He goes, actually, I'm just coming back now from the hospital. My wife was just diagnosed with stage 4 of Yana Machla. And I've just been thinking, how am I going to bring up this child? In a moment, in a flash, suddenly people's brains suddenly reverted from looking at this child as a chveistishvas, looking at this father as some reckless father, to suddenly having so much compassion. Because when the brain sees things differently, then we feel differently. This is what the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Me'ach Shalt Alalei. But for this to work, it's not enough just to have information. Alter Rebbe tells us we need to be mizbein in sha'aruch kol yom. What you ate yesterday doesn't help you for today. You got to eat again. And the Alter Rebbe says, if you don't want them yain shov, you need to be mizbeinen. And the Rebbe says in the Maim of Atat be mizbeinen, that the Beis HaMikdash is burning. It's the Isbanus that works on the brain to create new pathways in the brain, change the Golos mindset and change it to the way we should think and the way we should feel to make the Keches Apnimim Masim with the Yetzim and Neshama. The Rebbe was the 1, 2, or 3 who gave us the answer and told us by learning in Yanigul Moshiach. He tells us that when we learn, when we learn Yanigul Moshiach, we learn that Golos is not the natural place for a Yid to be. We realize that death is not something that's supposed to happen. It only happened because of the Chetei Tzadas. And even then, since it Gil's Mangolaschem, it's come time, there should never be death. The Rebbe even said that the Rebbetzin passed away on Menas, that on condition that there'll be Tchias HaMesim in that year in Memches, we've reached the time of Tchias HaMesim, there should not be any more death. That's not the natural way it should be. It's not natural for a Yid to be in Golus. A Yid wants to see the world as Ein Eid Movadi, that there is nothing else other than Hashem. A Yid wants Moshiach. A Yid wants and belongs to the Beis HaMikdash. And every moment it's not built, it's burning, it's being destroyed in front of our eyes. And yes, we need to be in a state of kasus, totally frustrated that the complete goal is not here. We have to be shook into the core. And that will get us to do whatever we can to bring Moshiach. And when we tap into the neshama, who feels this way, who feels totally frustrated that we're in Galus, at the same time, we can be besimcha, because we know that Mashiach is coming, ot kommt Mashiach. And yes, it's true that there are times, like when Corona kicked in, that we felt the neshama, we felt the Mashiach is coming, we had that little taste. But that was mi'erev bacon. That was an external cause making us feel this way. For Mashiach, it needs to be lahalis nei tamid. It needs to be something that we feel when the masks are taken off. We still feel that way. And yes, we can make it happen. We are the ones who will make it happen. We are Yidden. We don't believe in evolution. There are people that believe that everything that happened over the last 30 years just evolved. That's the Yetzer Hara. We know that everything that's happened in the last 30 years and more has changed in the world in the last 30 years than happened in 5,754 years. All of that is the Gilui of Moshiach coming into this world. It's not random technology and medicine changing. And the Rebbe told this to us even before. The Rebbe actually told the BBC reporter when he asked the Rebbe, have we entered the Messianic age? The Rebbe's response was, long ago. But if you don't know what Mashiach is, it could be happening in front of your eyes. And you can say, what in the world is that? rather than saying, woe to live in the days of Moshiach. And it's important to recognize that these changes happen through us. It's not that nothing happened. This was going on 30 years ago and then everything stopped. No, this has been a continued gilui of Shekhinah into this world through the Aveda. And yes, the people then and the people now are making it happen. It's just we need to finish off the job. But don't stand on the sidelines. Make sure you jump in and you not only recruit yourself and you change your mindset, your family, and ultimately it's our responsibility to change the world, to get the whole world to recognize that Egiya Zman Golaschem. And it's important to recognize that you have nothing to be worried about getting burnt out. We're like electric cars. The more we do and the more frustrated we are and more besimcha we are, that empowers us even more. It's a myth of the Yetzer Hara that we're going to get burnt out and that we can't live this way. You might not be so comfortable. Of course, the Yetzer Hara wants you to be comfortable. He doesn't want you to live on the edge, but turn around to him and tell him, no, we're fighting a war against you, who's lying to us and wants to keep us in galus. But you're not going to win. We're going to get rid of you and we're going to get rid of all the bad in the world. We're going to tell the Yetzer Hara, we have news for you. We are Tzivos Hashem. We are Hashem's army and we're going to conquer the world for Hashem. We're going to get rid of your lies. You are done. And together we're going to go out of our personal galus. We're going to prepare ourselves, our family, and the whole world. And I can't wait in Mirza Hashem with all of that Asa Chassidim and all of the Shluchim and all of the Yidden in the entire world, with the children leading the way, will march out in victory march out of Galus, and will dance the most incredible celebration with the Geula Amitis V'Ashlema B'Karei Mamash. Chai.